What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Yes, it's been a while since I've done a podcast, but I'm back at it. I had to take some time off to do some stuff, and I'm just now getting back to doing my YouTube videos on the Crypt Door channel on YouTube. I just the last couple of weeks been kind of putting the nose to the grindstone again with that. Trying to get everything back in order in my life. Long story short, my mother was sick for a minute. Had to take some time off of creating stuff to take care of that. But let's get into the podcast. And I do at some point in the future want to have guests on the podcast here. So if you're interested, hit me up at cryptdoor@gmail.com. Cryptdoor, one long thing, no spaces, no nothing in there, and at gmail.com if you got interesting cemetery experience, or some interesting experience with something you weird, unexplained, whatever. Just get at me. We can do a show. Um, I belong to a private Facebook group, and I posted a poll, like a thing basically saying, is there I can't remember, it was, is there life after death, or do you believe in life after death? And a lot of people had answered, and they answered very honestly. And it was, keep in mind, these are individuals, different individuals' answers and what they believe and how they feel. So if something doesn't line up with what you believe in, don't be offended. Don't trip off of it. This is just different people's opinions on what they believe about life after death. So I screenshotted a bunch of their answers, and we're gonna talk about it and get into this. Personally, me, um, I mean, I know I get the feeling there's something out there. Can I explain what? No, I can't. I've just known enough people who were dying, that were in their last days or their last minutes, that basically had said, "Oh, I see my mother, I see my father in the room." People believe that their loved ones, and I kind of believe that myself, that their loved ones are coming to take them home, basically. My wife believes in this wholeheartedly. I believe in this too. I believe there's something. I just can't explain it. Um, and all that. But we'll get into this, and I'm gonna read some of the people from the Facebook group that I belong to. I'm gonna read their answers, and we'll kind of jump into this, and see what's what. Thank you for joining me on this podcast. You guys are greatly appreciated. You are awesome. You are the best. Um, and I really enjoy the podcasting thing. I'm not a master podcaster, but I enjoy this. So let me get some water here because it's warm, it's dry, and I'm talking a lot. Oh boy, let's get into this. Okay, Daniel. Religion was before everything else, and they had the answers to the tough questions like, what happens after I die? Well, you believe in us, and this happens. Then came astronomy that opened a box of more questions. Remember, the Catholic Church finally admitted that in 1923 that the Earth orbits the sun. It's all about faith. I don't think there is one. It will just be like before you were born. Kathy has basically just answered absolutely. Alyssa had answered, I hope so because I tell my husband that even after death, I'm his and I want to continue my afterlife with him and plan to live in the corner of the room. And when he leaves, I plan to tag along on his shoulders. Yeah, my wife tells me she'll haunt me too if I don't, do certain things after she dies. But who knows? Who's going to go first? Who knows? Uh, H. Ashley. I've had way too many paranormal experiences to not believe in something. There's Randy. I believe we live before this life and will live again after, all called the plan of salvation. Emma. The beginning, you live on earth. After life, there is death. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The end, no existence. I love these very honest answers. People just, on some of these answers, they're not holding back, what they believe, what they feel. Carrie. I hope so, so I can see my mom again. She died when I was 15, 44 years ago. Totally effed me up and still does, but I'm still here. Well, we gotta, when we lose a loved one, life does go on. You have a choice: fold up and die, or just, continue to live. Bottom line. Donna, if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to connect and give people their message from the other side. I'm not here for that though. I just love this group. I've learned so much from it, and the group I belong to is very interesting. Very cool. I mean, I would mention it, but I don't know if I would offend anybody by mentioning it because it's like a kind of like a private group. You have to join, and I just don't want to offend anybody and put people on blast or or whatever. Charmaine, well, my hubby never came back and told me to keep my mouth shut in 15 years since he's been gone. Stacy, I like to believe in it. I don't want to believe that my loved ones, namely my dad, isn't there waiting for me. Yep. You lose a loved one, you got to keep the faith too, about what happens after you go. Joe, I want to, but now my mom died. I feel very different about it. All right. Angela had answered, I'm hopefully agnostic. I hope that there is a more of a reason for us to suffer through life and we didn't do all that suffering for nothing. I hope there's a reason for it rather than it be for our spirit souls to grow to help us in the afterlife or for the next life. Donna, I say no, and I don't believe in any afterlife, and I actually would rather not exist after death. I don't enjoy living this life, so I don't want another one or anything like that. Saidina, I believe in life after death, and I believe in heaven and hell. Melissa has answered, I hate this question. My intellectual mind says no, but I also wonder why, if we're so smart, is all that intelligence, dreams, music, art, dance just gone? Poof. Shannon, I believe in heaven and hell. You have to take Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, John 3:16. Read it. I'm sure it will help. By the way, to everybody laughing at what I just said, remember, one day every knee will bow and every tongue will confess Jesus Christ is Lord. Dory. I'm sure, though, I remember having a dream after Dad passed. I was walking towards a door at the top of the stairs. Dad opened the door and told me it's not your time and closed the door. A real thing? Probably not, but then again, you never know. You never know. My wife, like I said, my wife had asked me if I've ever had dreams of my dad since he passed. I have not. My wife has said she's had people come to her in people after they've passed come to her in their dreams and everything, in her dreams, and I have not. She asks me every so often. Corian, I'm not a religious person. Don't go to church. Don't believe in God or hell. But I've experienced unexplained things and believe that yes, your soul definitely travels. Melissa had said, I believe in heaven and hell. Sam Gregory, I believe that the energy that makes a person or animal alive continues in some kind of form after death. I don't worry about it. If there's nothing after life, then no one will know that anyway. Patricia, somewhere between 6 and 7, leaning more towards 6 though. That said, my mom visited me about 5 months after she died, and I asked her telepathically if she could come back. Her answer, again telepathically, was, now why would I want to do that? She was smiling. The encounter lasted mere seconds, and it happened as I was waking up, and but I did not feel like I was dreaming. Hmm, interesting. Jane, I believe when you're dead. No afterlife, nothing. I was raised Catholic and all they did was lie. Now, again, these are people's opinions. My sister and mom are gone and I feel so empty. I'm now an atheist, and if I'm wrong, I'll accept the consequences. That's a very honest answer, you know? I like it. I like the very honest answers. No one's holding back here. Heather, I would like to think there's at least something, but honestly, I don't. Just a long sleep of nothing. Whatever happens to that energy, I can't say. But hey, if I'm wrong, that's pretty cool, right? Bobby, yep, I believe in heaven, eventually, a new earth, and a hell, but I don't claim to know all the answers. I think it would be pretty arrogant to assume we know all when clearly don't, not as a believer or non-believer. Oh boy, excuse me. Amanda, I sure hope not. One life is more than enough. Yeah. GW, GW, I'm sorry. I do not believe that there is anything after this life. If you believe in any form of science, it just does not make sense. I think people have to believe in something because they can't handle the reality of knowing there is nothing more after this world. Could be, you know. Cassidy, I hope so. I'm not convinced. I don't think so. To me, that is like magic. We all know magic isn't real, but I sure hope I'm wrong. And we got Sarah here. I take great comfort in knowing I will eventually simply cease to be. Laura, I hear things, talking mostly. I don't see anything, but definitely hear them. Some say a gift. I'm not so sure. This is a long one from Lizzie. I don't believe in God in heaven and hell and angels playing harps and clouds. I do believe that it's not just one life and lights out for all eternity. I believe we live through many lives. We gain experiences through them all, even though we are not aware of it in our current life. When I was 18, I was really sick. I had to have brain surgery. It was very advanced, and the diagnosis at diagnosis blood oxygen CF fluid low was blocked over 70% in my head, and was given I was given 40% chance of survival through surgery. I made it through it fine, but it was the next day I was really bad. I crashed okay the ward. I remember so many doctors around me and my parents just standing watching in shock, but I can't remember feeling totally calm. Excuse me, feel I can remember feeling totally calm over it all. I was not scared or any pain or in any pain. I was at ease to whatever happened. That calmlessness, the calm, the calmness, excuse me, has changed my thoughts on death. Now may have, now may have been that I was away with the fairies on morphine, but that's how you feed at the time, feel at the time. I'm good with that. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good long one too. Shannon, I have to. My daughter was killed in 2020, and it's better than believing that she's nowhere. Susan, I've been shown over and over again that life does continue on. I have many who have passed to that world, and with my own connection to the spirit world, I don't have to guess about it anymore. Since my daughter passed, I have undeniable proof that she is still around all the time. I have that. I've had a connection. I have had a connection most of my life. I know this is not the end. Hmm. Lisa, 1,000,000%. No, there is an afterlife. And yeah, I'm religious, but I am religious because I believe and not the other way around. Phaedra, I've seen people out of the corner of my eyes when I turn my head, and no one's there. First time it happened, I was in my early 20s and I was in a cemetery. The gentleman looked in his mid to late 30s and he had a suit on. Looked at me from the 1960s. I turned my head and no one was there. Wow, you know? I didn't believe until my NDE. I haven't been the same since. I'm non religious, and there were people there with me that day while I lay dying on my own. Colleen, that was from that last one was from Natasha. Colleen, I believe people's faith that determines it. Atheists, no afterlife. Christians, heaven or hell. Religions that believe in reincarnation will be reincarnated in the next life, etc. Christy, okay, that last question was calling. I don't know if I said their name. Christy, I believe our soul comes back and lives many lives. I don't believe in heaven or hell or that kind of afterlife, just reborn in a different dimension that our souls exist in when they don't occupy a body or what we call a spirit. I've done some things first. I've done some paranormal research and have seen some things firsthand that have convinced me there is a spirit dimension there. Hmm. Darlene, I would rather believe and find out there isn't. than not believe and find out there is. I believe. Richard, it's time to grow up. Religion has fallen far short of the burden of proof there is no God. Again, people's opinions. If you're offended by any of these answers, those are not my views. Those are, people's opinions, and that's how they feel. Louise, yes, I believe in a specific heaven, but I believe our souls drift in and out of consciousness when we're needed. We become an energy rather than an entity. Although I believe in ghosts, I think that energy could be used to manifest ourselves too. And we can use our energies to comfort our loved ones, send signs, and be with nature. But then in between, I believe we rest. We're not in a conscious place. Since my best friend died last month, I have this huge energy around me that I can't explain. Sometimes I sense him himself, but even when he's not with me, he's left a strong energy that encompasses me. Wow. I appreciate these answers. These are very honest, and I'm digging this. Excuse me. Okay, we got a Leo. I think we come back until we get life right, and only then we cross over. You know what? We may be sent back over and over if we don't get life right. You never know. That's a cool one. If we may be sent back over and over if we don't get life right. You never know. But yeah, Mary. Until you die, you will not know. Ariel. All right. Who put I don't believe in it? There is clearly already a no. Okay. Jessica, I definitely think it's possible. And Kathleen said, I think this life is hell. Very interesting answers from people. I like to pick people's brains. I like to put up a poll and put questions and see what people think. Um, and the answers you get obviously here are very honest answers. Very very cool. But like I said, I know there were some things where people didn't believe and stuff, and I don't want anybody listening to this podcast or watching the video version of this to be offended by anything. Like I said, it's everyone's personal opinion. It's opinions of different people. And like I said, I kind of believe there's something. You know, what? Like I said, I can't explain, but there's something. Um, and that kind of gives me comfort. I know, I've lost my grandparents before, but losing my dad, in 2020 was really that was like I've never lost anybody that close to me before. And that was a real, different experience. It was very sudden. Um, I At the time I had COVID, so when he was in the hospital and he was in his last minutes, I couldn't go down there because I was sick, and the doctor was nice enough to take his personal phone out and call me on FaceTime and turn the camera on my dad so I could say something to him in his last minutes. The doctor had told me there's still brain activity, but he's declining fast. So I'm gonna FaceTime you, and I said what I said to my dad. You know, my sister had done the same thing. She was in the car on the way over to the hospital, and she was able to through FaceTime tell dad what she was gonna tell him, and that's it. And I feel my dad is watching over me. You know, and even though I don't have experiences with dreams or anything, you know, I feel he's there. Like I said, you go into a store that you don't hear a lot of Elvis Presley playing or any Elvis Presley playing in, and all of a sudden this Elvis song will start. I've had that experience a couple times, namely at Target not too long ago. So I know my dad's there. You know. All right, guys. throw in the comment box below what you feel, what you're thinking. Um, what do you believe in? If you're watching this on YouTube, throw it in the comment box below. Your podcasting platforms that you're finding this on, I do believe there's a comment box too. Throw in the comment box. Let me know, what you think about, the life after death. And maybe I'll come back with another, answers from another poll I'll do, and we'll talk about another subject. All right, guys, you're the best. You are awesome. Thank you for joining me on the Crypt Door Podcast. And like I said, I want to start getting some guests on here. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.